Okay, so these are actually not perfect squares. So again, you could do the same thing you did in the last one. We still need to make them equal 0. So minus 7, wrong color. Minus 7, and I get x squared plus 10x minus 7 equals 0. I can hit graph, or type it in first. Look, I already have it in there. I can hit graph, and I see that it hits once, and then it goes back up over here, so it's going to hit twice over there too. You can zoom out if you want to. Zoom, 3, enter, and it hits twice. So we know there's two solutions. So we can go to our table, and we can try to find those two solutions. Well, it goes from negative to positive, but I don't see the 0. So I know there's a solution between negative 10 and negative 11. And then I see that there's another solution between 1 and 0, but I don't know what solution it is because I can't find it. So it's not a pretty solution. And I could try to factor this, but it's actually not factorable because we can try. We can come over here. A times C is negative 7 because we have A is 1, B is 10, C is negative 7, and B is 10. Well, there is absolutely nothing that multiplies to negative 7 and adds to 10. You could check it in your calculator. You're not going to find it. Negative 7, might help if I keep going. Divide x, negative 7 divide x plus x, second graph. It doesn't work. There's nothing. It goes to 6, and then it goes to these numbers, but it's not working. So you can see that it's not there. So because there's no 10 over here. So it doesn't work. Not factorable. So we have to use our formula. So this is probably something y'all don't remember. Let me write it down. I'm going to write it down in the middle. So it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a, which you do not have to have memorized. It will be given to you, but you do have to use that. So I already have my a, b, and c over here. Remember, we built our skeletons. So negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So I know negative b is 10 square root of b squared, so 10 squared minus 4 times a is 1, c is negative 7, a is 1. So remember, we then simplify our 3 places. So this piece becomes negative 10 plus or minus over 2 times 1 is 2. And then we just simplify what's in the house without typing the house. So don't type the house. So 10 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 7. And we get 128. So you'll see I did not type the square root. That's why I have to still write the square root. 128. Now, if I typed the square root, I would have gotten an ugly decimal, so I'd realize I have to go back and do it myself. So I'm going to come over here, 128, and I have to break it down. So 128 is 2 and 64. Well, we know 64 is a perfect square with 8 and 8. So once we know something matches, we can stop. So this becomes negative 10 plus or minus 8 square root of 2. And I'm going to go ahead and separate because this simplifies. Well, that becomes negative 5 plus or minus 4 root 2 over 2. And then we have to write it twice. So negative 5 minus 4 root 2 over 4 root 2, and then negative 5 plus 4 root 2. Sometimes you have to separate before you simplify, but this one worked out. So there is my answer. Now, your test is multiple choice. I've told you that a couple times already. So if you see your answer choices and they look something like this, you know you're going to have to use your formula. Okay, so let's try F. So same concept. I'm going to have to squeeze this one in here. We're going to add 25 to both sides. And I get A is 1, B is 6, C is 25. And I can type it in my calculator. x squared, whoop, plus 6x plus 25, graph, and it never touches. So what's my answer? It's going to be imaginary. So we do have to keep going. But that proves to me that it's not factorable, so it's not worth trying anything else. So we are going to keep going because it's going to look something like this, but it's going to be imaginary. So negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. So a is 1, c is 25, b is 6. So I get negative 6 over 2 plus or minus over 2. And I'm going to get the square root. I'm going to kind of save space and not simplify it a billion times. 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 25. And I'm going to get a negative. And it's negative 64. Well, 64 is a perfect square. It's 8. So it's going to give me 8i. So this gives me, that simplifies to negative 3 plus or minus, that simplifies to 4i. So I get negative 3 minus 4i, negative 3 plus 4i.